So I've talked a little bit about being hypermobile here on TikTok, but I know that a lot of people that follow me are hypermobile as well. And I want to talk to those people specifically right now and talk to you about how I've done 3 things in my day-to-day life, implemented them into my routine, very simple things, and they have changed my quality of life in regards to being hypermobile dramatically. And first, I want to start here. I talk about fascia on my page primarily, pretty much, right? But it's very important for people who have EDS or who are hypermobile because our fascia is looser than the average person. It's a little more relaxed than the average person's. So we tend to brace a lot more for that stability in our body. And our body pretty much thinks that it has to brace to hold us together, and that can cause a lot of pain and just exhaustion from trying to hold yourself together all day, and that was my problem. My back was blowing out all the time. I had so much inflammation in my spine, it was pushing my disc off to the left. And that would put me in the hospital. I'd be in the hospital all the time for that because I couldn't walk. It was so painful. So when I started doing all of this research, I started implementing 3 things, and I haven't been hospitalized since, which is amazing for me. So first, I want to talk about posture, because I used to sit like this in my chair, just like this. Ignore my stains here. And that was me trying to hold myself together. That's how I felt sturdy and stable. But that's constant bracing. So that was, I didn't notice it wasn't uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for me at the time, but it was. Now I can't really sit like that anymore. So what I do now is, no matter if I'm sitting in my recliner or I'm out or whatever, I don't put myself on a floor and sit there and try to hold myself together. I'm fine in a chair, and my feet are on the floor and my back is against the chair. And I'm kind of sitting back so that my breathing is not living right here. Okay, because that causes more bracing. It's telling your body that you're not getting oxygen, you're not safe. So that's the first thing I did, was I tried to correct my posture by planting my feet on the floor and putting my back against the chair and being able to breathe, And secondly, I want to talk a little bit more about the way that I breathe. So like I said, the way that I sit made it so that my breath couldn't reach down here. So my ribs weren't expanding, my belly's not going forward, and your body really needs that. It really, fascia doesn't have a pump of its own. It relies on your movement and your breathing to circulate what you give it. So that being said, when I'm sitting here breathing up here, it's not circulating, it's not pumping properly, and then you have a slew of other problems from that. So now I'm sitting in my chair, feet on the floor, back against the chair, and I am breathing into my deeper. My ribs are expanding, and my belly's moving forward as I inhale. So my belly's moving forward, and you don't have to force that, just a little bit. And I had to reteach my body how to breathe like that. That's how bad it was. So it's silly, but it's true, because I was so used to bracing and, sitting like a shrimp in my chair. And then third, I mentioned that your fascia doesn't have a pump of its own. So it relies on your movement and your breathing to circulate what you give it. And what you give it is important, especially when we're talking about hydration. You want to hydrate on a cellular level. So when fascia is dehydrated, it gets sticky, and the signals that your body's trying to move around, moving through a sticky environment like that, those signals aren't landing they're not going where they need to go. And if they do, they're kind of scrambled, and it's just made a mess of the situation. So having fluid fascia is over time, that's gonna help. That's gonna help the most, is having hydrated fluid fascia, so that all these signals can move through properly, quickly, so your body can keep up. And that can look like, a pinch of sea salt in your water, or electrolytes. There's trace minerals I've seen on Amazon. People squirt them into the water, lemon, things like that. all simple things, whatever you choose, but we want to hydrate on a cellular level, and we want to have a little bit of movement and breathe correctly so that that's what we're circulating goes where it needs to go, and our fascia is fluid and hydrated and supple. So all of those things have changed my life, and it's silly to sit here and think that my posture, my breathing, and being hydrated changed everything on such a dramatic level for me, but it really, really did. And now I am, like I said, I'm more aware. So when I'm in an uncomfortable position, like I'm bracing, I feel it right away. Whereas before I didn't even know I was doing it. I wasn't aware. It was just the way I lived. But over time, your body adjusts to something different because you stayed consistent. And that's how the body adapts to consistency. So you want to give it these clear signals that it's safe so that that brace can come out. And I also want to say too, when I notice that I'm bracing, like my shoulders are up here, I never just slam them down. I always release tension on an exhale. So calm, peaceful, and then, let it go. So that, like I said, safety. Your body wants safety. And that's the best way you can do it. So be gentle with yourself, be consistent, and just those 3 things I'm telling you can make such a difference if you're hypermobile.